Folks, some condo rules are causing massive headaches. I'll get into that and then the latest home prices and insights for condos across the GTA for week ending March the 6th, 2024. Thank you to the many of you that have subscribed. If you are here every week and you enjoy the content, but you've not yet subscribed, consider subscribing. And if you want to speak with me about your real estate situation, selling, buying, it's really simple. Up here, there's a link to my calendar. Below this video in the description, there's a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you, and we'll talk about whatever's on your mind. Okay, so let me tell you what happened. This lady, much older lady, calls me desperate that she needs to sell her condo. So in conversation to find out what's going on, basically, she has never lived in a condo before. This is the first time. She's had a big house. She's lived in a house most of her life. She's of the age where the house is way too big, too much space. She's alone and she needed to downsize. And a condo made sense. So she bought in a condo, first time in her life living in a condo. She's only lived there for about 6 months. And now she's calling me that she has to move. So I said, why? And she says that she's allergic to smoke and the unit beside her, wouldn't you have it, is a smoker. And the allergies are bugging her. It's affecting her health and she's just not happy. She can't live with that anymore. So I thought, you know, if you're allergic to smoke, why did you buy in a building where maybe smoking is allowed? And she says, well, we specifically went out to look for, with her and her realtor, unit or buildings that were non-smoking. And this was a non-smoking building, but the person beside her is actually allowed to smoke. And she told me that she complained to management. And I said, so you spoke with management, what did they say? She says, well, the people downstairs, first of all, I went to the neighbor himself, and he said that he's allowed to do it. He's allowed to smoke there, even though it's a non-smoking building. And the attitude was that he had been there before those rules changed. So this gentleman was grandfathered in. And this is what happens with condos when they change rules. In this case, it's a smoking rule, but it could be a pets allowed to non-pets allowed. It could be all sorts of other rules. But typically, the one that we see the most is smoking. If it used to be a smoking building, and then the condo board decides we're going to change that. It's going to be a non-smoking building now. Well, they give exceptions to some of the people that are smokers before the rule changed. So this person's actually allowed to smoke. He's grandfathered in, and it's causing problems to the lady that I'm speaking with. So when I said, well, what did management say? She kept referring to, well, the people downstairs said they'd speak to them. The people downstairs said this. And I kept referring back and saying, when you talk about the people downstairs, like, was it management? And she goes, well, the people downstairs. And she, I believe, is referring just to the security people downstairs. So I insisted that she actually speak to management. And the reason I was insisting she actually speak to management is because in most cases, part of those rules where they grandfather something in and they give that person an exception, there are exceptions to the exception where if that person's actions are causing harm to other people or is a nuisance or is stopping somebody else from enjoying their unit, then those exceptions can be revoked. And I know this because we've been through this with one of our other clients not too long ago, where similar situation, the person smoked and they were abusing their privilege or their exception of smoking, and it was causing harm to my client. And instead of moving, they went through the channels and they got the exemption revoked. So I don't know how this story ends with this lady that I was speaking about. Different things can happen. Maybe at the end, the option is to move, but it should be a last resort. She should really exhaust all her options. Moving, it's a hassle, it's expensive. It should be a last resort. So that's one takeaway. The other takeaway is man, you got to be careful. Just because the building is a non-smoking building, there are people in there allowed to smoke. Just because maybe you're allergic to pet hair and you want a no pet building, don't be surprised if walking down the hallway, there's somebody with a golden retriever and there's an exception to the rule. So you really got to be careful for this because they do exist. It does cause a lot of confusion and pain and suffering, headaches for a lot of people out there that think they bought one way and there's somebody else doing something the opposite, and they're allowed to do it. If you think this video can help somebody you know, please pass it along. If you get value from what we're talking about, subscribe. And again, if you want to speak with me, up here there's a link, below there's a link to my calendar. We'll talk about whatever's on your mind. Now, let's get into the numbers. Folks, you want to see an exceptional condo corner suite on the 45th floor? Check out the video at the end of this video. Let's get into the condo numbers. So today we're going to be talking about condos, condo apartments only for the City of Toronto, for York Region, and for Peel Region. Here's a quick summary of average sold price. Peel, York Region, Toronto. We're going to start off with the City of Toronto. For week ending March the 6th, 213 condos were sold. You know, I would expect sales to be increasing, maybe not every week, but overall trending up. And it was for a while, but that's, I don't know, are we turning the corner? Have we already been through now whatever spring season we thought we were going to have? It's tough to say, but sales are not necessarily going up right now. They're flat or trending down for a couple of weeks. Let's see what really happens there over a bit more time. The same thing is happening with the amount of condos selling at $1 million or more. That number was increasing and now it's kind of down a bit. 22 condos sold at $1 million or more. 213 overall condos sold. Average sold price up a bit from the previous week, now sitting at $719,000. And the same pattern I'm showing in sales is kind of what we're seeing with average price. It's predominantly trending up, but yeah, the last couple of weeks kind of going the other way. $719,000 is 6% lower than where we were this time a year ago. The median price is no change this time versus last year at $650,000. But overall, even though the last few weeks it's kind of a little lower, if we look at the dotted line, overall, the 4-week moving average kind of shows median and average price trending up slightly. It's not aggressive, but it is trending upwards. 213 were sold. 29% have sold at list price or more. And that number for the last 4 or 5 weeks is pretty consistent. Listings, look, compared to last year, we're listing way more than what we were listing last year. Active listings is sitting at almost 3,200 active listings right now. And that number versus a year ago, we have 979 more condos on the market available for sale than we did this time last year. So almost 1,000 more condos available for sale. It's a lot. Months of inventory sitting at 3.5. And if we go back, say 2 months or so, that's kind of where we are. About, let me say, a month and a half, 3.5, 3.1, 3.7. We've kind of been hovering around there. So months of inventory, kind of borderline between balanced, bottom end of balance, top end of sellers, predominantly though, more in a balanced type market. Average price slowly trending upwards. That was the whole City of Toronto. Here's Toronto broken down into different sections. And we said all of Toronto's 3.5 months of inventory. Well, not every neighborhood is following that pattern, right? It's an average of the whole city. So when we look at certain areas, Scarborough, for example, you want to buy a condo in Scarborough, it's a little bit more competitive. It's 2.1 months of inventory. You want to buy over in Etobicoke, it's going to feel pretty much like all Toronto. Lots of condos get bought and sold in Etobicoke, especially South Etobicoke. 3.5 is the months of inventory there. When you're looking at downtown, so you got downtown, midtown, uptown, right downtown, it's one of the highest average sold prices at 762. There are 1,200 active listings alone just in the downtown core. 69 were sold, but 1,200 are available for sale. Lots of choices for condos in the downtown core. Let's take a close look at York Region condos. 41 condos were sold in York Region. That pattern also was increasing and now kind of turning down. 2 of those were at $1 million or more. Average sold price, no question for York Region. Average sold price for condo, pretty much trending up a little bit more aggressively than it's doing so in the city of Toronto. 709, 708 last year, rounded. There's really no percentage change right now in the price of condos year over year. The median price is 2% lower, and both median and average price are trending up. 41 were sold, 22% of those were at list price or more. The listings, 130 were listed, so we're going to see more condos out there. Active listings is trending up, and months of inventory for the last few weeks going up. It's now sitting at 2.7 months of inventory. Here's Peel Region condos. Now, I'm saying Peel Region, but the vast majority are being bought and sold in Mississauga. 40 condos were sold. 2 of those were at $1 million or more. Average price, $633,000. It does go up and down each week, but overall, I would say trending up. 633 is 7% lower than where we were this time a year. Sorry, it's 7% higher than where we were this time a year ago. The median price of 589, 1% lower. Overall, using the 4-week moving average, kind of looks like prices are flat. But if I go back and I look at it from this angle, I would say they're going up. 40 were sold. 33% sold at list price or more. Listings, 117. Active listings is increasing. Months of inventory, 2.7. And if we go back about 2 months, yeah, that's kind of the average over the last 2 months. So we're kind of flat when it comes to months of inventory. We're at the top end of a seller's market, bottom end of a balanced market. Here's the overall summary. 3.5 for the city of Toronto months of inventory, 2.7, 2.7. You know, it's not an exact science. We say between 3 months of inventory and 5 months of inventory is a balanced market. But it's not, there's a gray area between each section. And then you start to get into different neighborhoods, and then you get into different buildings. When you're talking about condos, you can have one building where lots for sale, lots of units for sale, prices seem to be coming down, lots of choices. And right next door, maybe a more desirable building, not a lot of properties come on the market. When one does, it gets picked up right away. So each building tends to have its own market many times. So be careful when you're looking at condos. Overall, I would say, in a balanced market is the general feel when it comes to condos, but there are exceptions. Thanks for watching. Have an awesome day. I could look at this view all day. I'm at 5 St. Joseph by Yonge and Wellesley Street. Check out the rest of this unit.